Toastmasters. We meet here on the first Thursday of the month and the third Saturday of the month. Our next meeting is going to be Saturday, September 16th at 10 a.m. at the Anderson Community Center upstairs to the left of the doors as you enter upstairs. I would like to kick off our meeting with introducing our Toastmaster of the day, which happens to be myself. I'm really excited. I am super excited about our meeting today. We have two very accomplished speakers. Both of them are giving speeches from the advanced manual, and one of them is going to be 10 to 12 minutes long, which I know he'll make it go very well, very fast, very fun. I would now like to introduce our word of the day for Marion, which happens to be myself. The word of the day today is conundrum. Conundrum is C-O-N-U-N-D-R-U-M. It means being in a quandary, or as we used to say, a pickle. It means a point of difficult decision. And we're going to be using that throughout the meeting today. And as we use it, I will be counting, in addition to the word of the day, I will be counting your ums, ahs, so's, double clutch where you start, and then you start, and then you think about something else and you say that. That's what we're doing today. I would now like to introduce Carol Cormeling, who's going to be doing table topics. Please welcome Carol Cormeling.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. And I hope this is not a conundrum for you to come up to the lectern and answer a table topics question. This is a question not of your choosing, and you have from the time you walk up here to think of an answer, and you have 1 to 2 minutes to give me a reply. My first question of the day is, what do you do after you realize you misspoke to someone? Sean? What do you do after you realize you misspoke to someone?
Madam Table Topic Master. That's a conundrum for sure, because there's many ways to go about this. There's the Sean Gallagher way, which would be a blaming, non-forgiving, pointing way. Then there's the Carol Cormeling way, which would be a forgiving, gently apologizing, and arriving at Panera and buying someone's meal way. In all honesty, I'm a detail-itis type guy. Many of you probably know that from hearing some of my speeches, so I wanted to say everything and make everything right. So I truly would go back to that person and explain myself, explain what I did wrong, explain what I should have done correctly. I'd probably explain a lot of other things. They don't care for the details. But I'd make it right as soon as I knew it was wrong. It's important for me to clear the air, even if it was somebody I don't like. Real honestly, if I didn't like the person, I'd still go back and correct it because I want it to be right. So Carol, I'd go and make sure I correct myself, give the right speak information, and then move on from there and meet you at Panera Bread. Madam Table Topics Master.
You'll never forget that, huh?
No, I will not forget it.
Okay, thank you so much, Sean. That was a good answer. My second question is, what action do you take when someone misspeaks to you? Veronica? What action do you take when someone misspeaks to you?
It depends. When I get in that type of conundrum, if I value the relationship, I will go back to clarify. What did you mean by that? What I heard, how I felt, how I interpreted it. In the future, could we ... agree to disagree outside a meeting? Sometimes better to say nothing at all. One day, I happened to work for a gentleman from another country, Some days he's a gentleman, sometimes he's not so much. He was very angry because he had gotten a call from his boss, who was also very angry, and yelled at him. He picked up the phone. He started yelling about something that I didn't even do. He interrupted me when I tried to explain, and I said, "Do you want me to respond?" And he said, "No, I don't." And he went on probably for a good 5 minutes with me putting the phone out here, a very sensitive hearing. When he calmed down, he said, "Okay, and about that report," completely changed the subject, and we went on our way. Never spoke to him about it. He never apologized. Madam Table Topics Master?
Thank you very much for that reply. And my last
Comment.
question. Has there been an occasion when someone misspoke to you and you are still fuming over that incident? You don't have to share the incident, only how long you are going to be an injury collector. Suzanne.
So, this is a real conundrum for me because I know it has happened in the past. I'm trying to come up with a memory for it real quickly. So if it happened to me and, remind me again of the question.
If you were still fuming over it.
If I'm still fuming over it. So that means, yeah, if I'm still fuming over it, it's because I never cleared the table with that person. And the reason I would have done that would have been that I was thinking, okay, it really didn't bother me. I was trying to just go over it and let it go. But later on, it kept coming back into my head, and I'm realizing, well, this is actually bothering me, but now it's too late to say something. The person is not here anymore. I'm not with the person. I don't want to really bring it up again. Then I'm thinking, is my memory serving me well? But did this really happen the way I thought it did? Maybe it's not the way I thought it was going down. And so then it kind of makes it into a snowball for me sometimes, where I think it's really what I'm making of it. And what I've learned lately, very important, is that words can either hurt you or not hurt you. It is what power you give to the words, right? So that is a very big lesson, and I really learned from that when I heard that the first time. So I'm trying to go with that and not let people hurt me anymore, and just let it roll off my shoulders. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And since Veronica asked me if I was going to answer one, I was not going to, but I will tell you what I have learned. I used to, if someone said something unkind to me, I thought, oh, well, they're right, I'm this terrible, terrible person. On our honeymoon, when my husband told me he was going to boot my butt out there and get somebody to work for him because I let the maid make the bed in the hotel room, I thought, oh, this terrible, terrible person, I don't know anything about housekeeping. And then I learned, hey, their opinion is as valuable to them as mine is to me, and I can say thank you for letting me know. My sister-in-law had written a scathing letter to me, and I called her up and thanked her, and she was shocked. So that's the first time she ever gave anyone a piece of her mind, and was thanked for it. And I'm going, your opinion is as valuable to you as mine is to me, and if I allow you to own your opinion, that allows me to own my opinion, and the world is big enough to have two opposing opinions. And so I've learned that I can say thank you. If you say you're a jerk, thank you for sharing that. What makes you think I am, or whatever, if I want to find out something more. But they're entitled to their opinion, and I'm not always right, and they're not always right. We can agree to disagree, as Veronica mentioned. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Great job. Thank Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. You left us with many conundrums to consider. I would now like to introduce the first of two speakers today. Her name is Carol Cormelink. She is a distinguished Toastmaster, which is the highest rank of Toastmaster in Toastmasters, and she has reached that 3 times. 4 times. Stand corrected. Which means you've given 10 speeches, done all the leadership, given another 10 speeches, done all the leadership, given another 10, and gone through all these different hoops that you have to go through. And it's really quite enjoyable to have her here. Her speech today comes from the Advanced Manual, Humorously Speaking, project number 3, Make Them Laugh. Her speech time is 5 to 7 minutes. Her speech title is Eats, Shoots, and Leaves. Carol Cormelink eats, shoots, and leaves, and her introduction. Punctuation errors speak like chalk across the blackboard of our sensibilities. Punctuation marks are the traffic signals of language. They tell us when to slow down, take a detour, and stop. Proper punctuation is an endangered species, like white tigers, white lions, like one of those. Our next speaker will give an introduction to the mishaps, humor, and misinformation conveyed by misplaced commas. Let us give a hearty welcome to Carol Cormelink. Eats, shoots, and leaves. Eats, shoots, and leaves. Carol Cormelink.
Thank you, Madam Cormelink, Madam Toastmaster. The story is that a koala went into a bar and he ordered a meal and ate the meal, and then he shot the bartender, and then he left. And well, what's up with that? Well, everybody knows koalas eat, shoots, and leaves. There are many times that a misplaced comma will totally change what we're trying to say if there was no comma. Let's eat, Grandpa. If there were no comma, if you were very hungry and you went to the doctor and the reason that a person went was because they were unable to eat diarrhea. Sean, your facial expression is cracking me up. Last night, when I was going to go to the restroom, I didn't want them to lock the door, and I said, "Don't lock the door, I'm going to the bathroom," or something. It came out funny the way I said it, but I can't remember exactly. But that's what a misplaced comma, and I don't know if you have ever been the victim of a misplaced comma or yourself. One other thing that they talk about in this book, Eats, Shoots, and Leaves, by the Lynn Truss. She has a lot of things in here about the dash, how we inappropriately use that, and she has about the exclamation point. In Britain, they don't use exclamation points. It's as if you're shouting at that person. I'm going, I use those all the time. I put 3 exclamation points. And they also, the semicolon is also misused. And my niece was proofreading the Gazette. My family has a family reunion every Labor Day, and I wrote the Gazette, and I had separated things with semicolons, and she said, well, I'm going to take these out of here because they're not properly separated by a comma. So I have used inappropriate punctuation. I put things in parentheses when I want to set them apart. That's another no-no. And the thing that is the most humorous to me was in the back of the book when she got to about the exclamation point, and that is as if you're shouting at a person, and what they call it in England, a dog's cock. So that was some of the things that I learned in reading her book. One of the things I thought was very interesting was a woman without her man is nothing. But if you punctuated that and had a woman colon without her comma, man is nothing. Same words, two totally different meanings. And there you will find many, many, many instances of that. One of them that they also showed in the book was the driver managed to escape from the vehicle before it sank and swam to the riverbank. And the convict said the judge is mad. But it was the convict, comma, said the judge, comma, is mad. Wait a minute. The convict said the judge, the convict, comma, said the judge, comma, is mad. I don't know if you've been guilty, been in a conundrum because of having something that you wrote or said. And it's very hard. When you speak, you can't say comma, period. Your voice, you have to lower your voice to make the point or raise it. And you don't always have to raise your voice to make a point. You can lower it and make the point just as well, sometimes even better. But my point is that to just think about when you're writing and when you're writing so quickly, and kids today, they don't even know how to write. They put see you later, before, before, and I thought, these kids are missing a lot. I don't know how they can communicate with each other. It took me a long time to know what LOL was. I had no clue what LOL was. And it's you don't have to be too uptight when you're making errors in punctuation, but if it comes back to haunt you, then you will know that you need to pay a little more attention to what you were saying and how you were saying it vocally, because we don't have the privilege of using punctuation mark there. We have to do it with our voice, our facial expressions. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Carol Carmeling. That was quite funny, very enjoyable. I don't think you're ever in a conundrum about what speech to give. Our next speaker, but before I go there, I would like to give 2 minutes of silence in order for our evaluator to write his evaluation. You can be as loud as you want.
Are you rehearsing?
We're on break.
Oh, good.
We've got a 2-minute break.
Good,
Perfect
because I put
timing.
the sign up on the door, I didn't know.
Oh, no, yeah, we are taping, but you're
Okay,
perfect.
yeah,
That's
sure.
fine. If they come in, we'll make them join our
Well,
meeting.
we do have a little sign we can put up on the door.
Oh, we're good, but thank you.
Okay, all right, this one.
Our cameraman is quite accomplished. He can edit out anything. I forgot to welcome those in the audience.
One minute.
Hi, I'd like to welcome everyone back to TV Toastmasters. Please welcome our TV audience and our guests as well as our members. Our next speaker is Sean Gallagher. Sean is going to be speaking from the Advanced Manual Specialty Speeches. Project number 3, sell a product. The time of the speech is 10 to 12 minutes, and the title of the speech is, Did you hear about this? Did you hear about this? Sean Gallagher.
Thank you, madam. Getting the role in the book. By a show of hands, who here has been part of an HPL, either as the activity and coordinator or as a guidance committee? Great, so both of you.
12 times.
Overachiever. Now let me know if you would like me to cover every detail out of this 60-page manual. Put your hand up. No. Good, because I'm not going to do that today. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, HPL is the Toastmasters High Performance Leadership Program. And what that actually is a program that's required to gain what is called the Advanced Leader Silver Award within the leadership track. If you'll pass one back to Suzanne as well. Within this packet, you'll see on page 4, I believe, the tracks that you go through for Advanced Leader. And you'll see some of the bullet points under there that it takes to get the Advanced Leadership Silver, which is what I'm going for in the next couple months. You need to have been a director or an officer at the district level. You need to have been a club coach or club sponsor. You need to complete the High Performance Leadership Project. And there's probably a couple other requirements there as well. This is my capstone. This is my very last step to getting that Advanced Leader Silver. The High Performance Leadership Project has 2 primary requirements. One is you need to have a guidance committee. Guidance committee can be 1 to 5 people that work along with you in helping to select the topic, helping to get your plan together. There's a lot of feedback during it. You meet 4 to 5 times. They help you with putting into action the steps that you determined you want to do. And you got to have an action committee because it's not a one-man show. You can't go out and do this all by yourself and get the credit. So think about it. You got to do a lot of the shuns in life. Coordination, communication, delegation, all those things you need to do with a team of people. So this project is not an overnight 1-hour deal. It's supposed to go on for weeks and weeks and weeks, and many varied steps through it and coordinating with a lot of different people. Some of the things you could do as a project, and again, it doesn't have to be just Toastmaster based. You could go through a community and create a crime watch. That takes people, that takes time, that takes location. If you've got a neighborhood issue, you can certainly do that. You could go within your place of employment and do a fundraiser. Where I work, we do Arts Wave 1 year, and we do some other fundraiser the other half of the year. It's a very interesting one, obviously. United Way. But there's a lot of money, coordination, and timing with that. You could do a speech contest and be the chair of that. As you see on the front of your packet, that's what I've chosen to do myself. It's Area 52 and 54 combined humorous speech and table topics competition that's taking place Thursday, September 21st, starting at 5:45 p.m. in their Kroger BTC building in Blue Ash. So this speech project is really what I'm going to get my credit for. And there's a lot that goes together to put a speech project together. I'm going to give you some of those details as well. We'll talk through some of those steps and some of the people involved. In a speech contest, we usually start at the club level, like this club right here. In Area 52 and Area 54, there's 4 clubs each. Each one of those clubs will have their speech contests and promote a humorous speech candidate and a table topics candidate to compete at the area. So the contestants are already figured out, but there's a lot of roles to fill. There's the contest chair, which I'll take. There's the contest Toastmaster. There's the chief judge and several judges. There's the timer. There's the sergeant at arms. There's the ballot counter, among others. And each one of these needs a qualified Toastmaster to fill that. So you've got to grab from within those clubs that are competing, or outside the clubs and outside the area. That's my job, to fill those roles. Each one of those roles has a piece of paper, a document that goes along with it. The biggest document for contests is the contest handbook, which Toastmaster provides, and I think it's a 17-page rule book. It covers every valid contest at every different level, club, area, division, district, and international, that you could possibly have. I didn't bring that, and I'm not going to read from that either. You'd be put to sleep from it. But there's also judging ballots, there's counters ballots, there's a Toastmaster script, there's a chief judge script, there is many other pieces of paper and documents necessary. And it's probably page 2 of your handout if you'd like to peruse that and get a small idea of what I'm talking about. So that coordination is important as well. Most of those documents come directly from Toastmasters International. You can download it in a PDF form from the website. The area directors get it from the division directors. The scripts don't come from Toastmasters. We develop that ourselves because it's all very variable depending on what kind of contest you're having and how you want to run it. So the scripts are pretty important that someone has actually put that together. And we've got them available. I've put them together as well at the area contest. So those are some of the forms, some of the people, some of the responsibilities that we'll go through when we host a contest, and my area contest is no different. The other thing you've got to make sure you do is give briefings before the contest starts. So, Suzanne, if you happen to be a judge for the first time, you may not know what that is. You want to know what those factors are. If Carol is our sergeant at arms, if Veronica happens to want to be the ballot counter, every one of those roles, including a contestant, will be briefed before the contest takes place. So they know what's expected, what they can do, what they can't do, and any questions they might have about that. Whether they've been at that type of contest before or not, we still brief them. We want to make sure everyone's on the same sheet of music and doing the exact same thing. So briefings have to take place as well. What are the benefits of going to a contest? So if you're a contestant, Toastmaster International, I'll read this verbatim because it's very important. Toastmaster International believes that a speech contest is an important part of the Toastmasters education program, providing an opportunity for Toastmasters to gain speaking experience, as well as an opportunity to learn by observing other proficient speakers. So there's a communication part. You can speak, you can learn, you can grow, you can hear. That whole communication track is involved there. Filling the roles that we just talked about, that each one of you I know is going to come along and fill a role for us. That's your leadership. You gain knowledge, you gain skills, you gain many other factors you may not have gotten before when you fill a role, and you can actually get credit through some of your manuals for filling the roles. There's also networking. There's other people outside our club, outside our area, outside our division that show up at these contests that you can meet, work with, make friends with, sponsor, mentor, or hold accountable if you build a relationship. There's also directors, area directors, division directors, district directors, some of the leadership positions you may gain from, you may make networking, you may make connection. So the networking is another aspect of these contests. There's also fun. I know you've been to contests, I know you've been to contests, I've been to contests there's a lot of excitement. It's almost like a sports event because people are working at their best. People are really achieving at very high levels of speech contest to deliver what they're delivering. The amazing factor that you get from these speech contests. Most of them are humorous or heartfelt stories, so you're going to be entertained in some fashion. Some of us cry at the stories, some of us laugh at the jokes, but there's a lot of fun to be had at these speech contests. So consider, as a spectator, as a role provider or participant, or as a speaker if you wish, some of these factors within the speech contest you can gain from. So let me ask a question. When is the Area 52 and 54 speech contest taking place? Veronica.
September 21st.
Very good. Suzanne, what's the location?
It's a building in Bluish, the Kroger building in Bluish.
Super. And when does it start, Carol?
It is 5:45 to come and get briefed.
Outstanding. So now you all know what it's about, when it's taking place, where it will be. There's more to come because I'm a very hard-headed, good emailer and phone caller to get you involved. With that being said, you'll be excited when we get this rolling, and I'm going to turn it back over to the Toastmaster, Veronica Sanders, Madam Toastmaster.
Great job, Sean Gallagher.
I need to grab some more stuff out of your way.
2 minutes of silence, please, for the evaluator. I didn't read the objectives. I should have read the objectives. I am ready. If we are ready.
We're in authority.
Do you need more time? I was doing the evaluation. Actually, give me a second. So, I'm gonna get, Sean, you're gonna come up and do the evaluation. Okay, great. Welcome back to TV Toastmasters. Today is Thursday, September 7th at 7 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night. And it's a beautiful day outside. I hope you have enjoyed our show so far. I would now like to introduce to you Sean Gallagher, who is going to be the evaluator for Carol Cormalake's talk, Eats, Shoots, and Leaves. Please welcome Sean Gallagher.
Madam Toastmaster. I think what I'll do is fill in the role of general evaluator first. So this is our evaluation portion of the meeting where we give feedback and give whether it's points that we thought were very strong and well presented or points to help somebody improve and develop. We have 2 speech evaluators today, and then we'll go through some of the reports of the roles that were filled as well. Carol was our first speaker, and the evaluator for our first speaker is Sean Gallagher. So Sean, if you'd go ahead and give Carol's evaluation. Thank you very much, Sean. Carol, this is near and dear to my heart. And I think for me, not as much as me being a hard head like I do with some things, using commas, it used to be fun for me to, yeah, believe that? Fun for me to make sentences different just by changing commas. So right away, it struck something in the way I used to study English is eats, shoots, and leaves was a perfect start because that's a very basic statement and phrase where you can put the commas in different places and you're completely changing, not slightly, completely changing the message you're giving. So I enjoyed that, and I think you started out very well with that joke. Your peppering of jokes through and humor use emphasize your point. The only thing I want to caution you on, which I do a lot, is your PP, your pregnant pause. We need to get you pausing a little more between transitions and setting some of this stuff up because it's hard to follow through on the joke and get the audience to laugh if then you jump right in to start giving facts and figures because they're different, you know that very well. Using the humor is very helpful getting the point across, but jumping right into the facts and figures doesn't give us time to digest, think about, and give you the laughs that you're looking for. So consider that when you do these kind of speeches in the future. The one thing that was a little confusing for me was when you're reading from the book, and some of the specifics were helpful, but I would have you slow down. Because there was a point where you were trying to give us where one of the pauses and the commas inserted, but you're reading so quickly, I think you stumbled on yourself. So consider that. You are having fun up here. And for me, that's one of the most important factors of using humor is you've got to enjoy it, you've got to have fun, you've got to laugh at yourself. The audience picks up on that chemistry right away, I believe. I'm going to use an example of your teaching. I laughed a few times. I put a comma in there, so it's a different meaning. But no, I'm trying to say I did laugh a few times throughout, and so it was helpful. Kids today, I'm going to caution you on that. You're very welcome to say, some kids today, or my grandkids, my kids, kids I know in the local high school today, because when you make that blanket statement, it could become offensive for people like our wonderful cameraman saying, she's telling me all my peers don't do this right, and I know I do okay. So make sure you put some kind of identifier in there to be more specific. And oh, the only other thing was your ending was very abrupt. If you just give one more example, one more joke, and deliver it and let us know that that's what you're going to give us, you're not rushing off the stage. Just finish up with one final piece of humor, and you'll wrap it all up. But I really enjoyed this. One of the first times I've seen you use humor. I know you do it a lot, but for the speeches I've watched, you did very well, and I appreciate what you did. Mr. Janeiro, evaluator. Thank you very much. Evaluator Sean Gallagher. Our second evaluator will be for our second speaker, and the speaker was Sean Gallagher. Our evaluator will be Veronica Sanford coming up to evaluate that speech. Madam Veronica Sanford. Oh.
Thank you, Carol. Did you hear about this? Did you hear about this? Did you hear about this? Yeah, Sean, we did. We heard about this. It was another great speech from Sean Gallagher. Sean, you are personable, passionate, and knowledgeable. You're also an expert in Toastmasters. So I will dig right in. I love that you had handouts. Some of us are tactile, some of us are visual, some of us are audible. I feel much better if I can see something written down. I can listen more carefully, knowing that I don't have to catch every word, so I relax. I love having written material. In the day of the paper monster and recycling, companies have stopped printing off so much, which I think is actually a good thing, but I still like my paper. Carol had made a comment at the very beginning of your speech. The question was, have any of you ever participated in an HPL? Later on you clarified that's High Performance Leadership Program, but she had said underneath her breath 12 times. And we laughed, but the TV audience didn't hear it. And neither did our cameraman. And so therefore, in the future, if you can be conscious that there's somebody else outside this room that's going to need to hear. The second point is, at one point, you turned your back on us when you reached back to get your hand out. Not a big deal, really not a big deal. Because you've already endeared us to you, it really wasn't offensive, but something you might want to watch in the future. I'm crazy about things. I don't like the word things. Generally, we don't know what thing you're talking about. Is it that thing or that thing or that thing? In this particular case, you were talking about tasks. Instead of using the word thing, talk about tasks. These tasks that people have to do or other do. I mentioned already, repeat information. When we announced from the front of your handout the date, time, and location, there's no guarantee that the camera microphone heard everything we said. So you could have said, that's right, it is September 21st at 5:45 at the Kroger Blue Ash, exactly. And so then they would know, which now they know. I would say that your confidence, your experience, and the fact that you are a leader's leader makes your participation in TV Toastmasters invaluable. Thank you, Madam, Mr. General Evaluator, and Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Evaluator and Madam Toastmaster and Madam Word of the Day. We're going to now get through some of the reports from the roles that have been filled today. And I'd like to start with our grammarian and all-counter, Veronica Sanford. Do you want to come here or do you want to do it from there in your call?
I'll come there.
Okay. Veronica Sanford, go get him.
Did you like how I walked off that way and then magically appeared from here? It's that secret door we have here. You have to come and visit. You'll see all about it. I am the counter of conundrums. I am also the counter of lip smacks, which I did just to show you what a lip smack is. Carol, you used conundrum once during table topics. Sean, you used conundrum. So, it's something, somebody, spoke speech. It was a lot of so's. And a little bit of double clutches, which was when you started it. Suzanne, your word of the day today was so, and one lots of so's, and that's another lip smack. Pausing, finishing a sentence, starting another one. It gives people a break in their mind and they can listen, hear you better. Carol, and so it's pause between sentences, as our evaluator had mentioned. Speaker number 2. I've got scripts. Also, many other ers. Excuse me. I like that one. And at one point you also said cause instead of because. I didn't count anything for me, but you did. And Mr. General Evaluator, you can tell me what you heard. Thank you so much.
When you were up here speaking, let me see your notes, because I think I heard them. You had one word of the day very well. You used conundrum. This was a hearing thing. You said interpreted it, but the way you said it sounded like interpreted it.
Other
As if you ended the word twice. So interpreted, you can use a different pronoun than it. After an ed and an it often sounds a little bit kludgy. So, oh, this is yours. You have that back. And now we're going to get the timer to give us her report of the times it took and the times it should have took for each and every speech.
Okay.
So, Suzanne, if you'd like to come up here and give that report.
So, just want to say this is my first time doing this, so maybe things may be a little bit rocky here.
You're great.
All right. So we started out with table topics, 10 minutes and 10 minutes. Toastmaster. Oh, the 1 to 2 minute talks on the topics. We had 1 minute and 40 seconds from Veronica Sanford, and we had 1 minute and 15 seconds from Sean Gallagher, and we had, I believe, 1 minute and 47 from Suzanne Vittro. Then we had speaker 1 was a 5 to 7 minute talk from Carol Kormalik, and it was 5 minutes and 20 seconds. Speaker 2 was Sean Gallagher, and it was a 10 to 12 minute speech, and he gave us a 10 minute and 53 second speech. And we had general evaluator, 3 minutes. It was, the first one was Sean Gallagher evaluating Carol Kormalik, and that was 3 minutes and 30 seconds. And the second one was Veronica Sanford, and she was evaluating Sean Gallagher, and that was 3 minutes and 30 seconds as well. You guys must have timed that out perfectly. I'm sure you did.
Coordinated.
Yeah. And grammarian was supposed to be 3 minutes, and it was 1 minute and 53 seconds. That's my report.
Very nice job. Especially for the first time. Thank you for taking care of that. You were very thorough, very accurate, and we all appreciate that.
Thank
Because it does not put us in the conundrum of wondering how we did and what we're supposed to do. So as general evaluator, I should give some insight on the meeting overall, Toastmaster, the theme, the table topics, and the evaluator. So I'll just kind of get into that now. I think I've said from the very beginning when I first started visiting this club and I finally joined, this is one of the most resilient, versatile, and flexible groups of people we have. We're forever having to switch up, but being very willing and capable of switching up into roles as they fall into our lap when we show up on a Thursday. And that's the nature of being here Thursdays. So I think we do a really great job of that. I want to give everybody an actual accolade for taking care of that part of this meeting. Including the fact I think you stepped up as full-blown Toastmaster, right? Was that going to be Janet? Or was that you from the start? Great job there. Overall, the table topics, Carol, I think you really think very hard about what you want to ask us. Because I've seen some people just don't put too much thought into it, so it's not as thought-provoking each and every question you asked was enough to get our juices flowing, get our thought process going, and give an enjoyable answer. So I really appreciate you as tabletop master. I thank you for what you do with that role. On the evaluation side, Veronica, you're very thorough. I appreciate and I take to heart all the comments you give me, because I want to be honest, there's two factors that happen sometimes. Some evaluators don't want to be too critical and quote unquote maybe hurt someone's feelings, and some evaluators actually look at a already established Toastmaster and say, oh, I can't find anything, or I'm not going to be able to find anything, and they give up. That's not helpful to any of us. No matter what level we're at, we can learn and grow, and I really appreciate the fact that you pointed that out. You seem to be the kind of evaluator that would say, he's at this level, he should have done better, so I'm going to raise the bar in my evaluation and expect much more from him because of the time he's put in and the experience he has. So I appreciate your insight, and I really appreciate your ending comment. I took that as great flattery and good feedback to tell me that I brought something different to your club that maybe wasn't here before. And it's not like I planned to do that, but I appreciate that feedback. It really gave me some insight I haven't had before. So I thank you for that. That's about all I've got as general evaluator at this point, and I think I'm going to bring the Toastmasters back up. Toastmastress. I'm going to bring Veronica Sanford back up to close out the meeting. Thank you very much.
I'm a toast mistress.
That's what
by
it is.
the way. Just in case you didn't know. Or is it like actor? Now all females are actors, not actresses. So I'm a toastmaster. And will always be a toastmaster.
You mastered it.
Yes, I have mastered the toast. This concludes our meeting today. I will also now turn it over to the person who is standing in for the president. And so here you go, Madam President, or as Sean does.
Personal handshake.
I like that. Final comment as president, I would like to welcome anyone who is in the audience today to please do join us. We have a lot of fun and we laugh and we don't take ourselves too seriously, and everybody makes constant mistakes, and it's quite a joy to laugh with them and not at them, and it really is a lot of fun. And I will say, with the connecting in that I probably didn't need, we do have a officer meeting, which anyone is welcome to attend. As I mentioned, our next meeting is Saturday, September 16th at 10 a.m. upstairs in the Anderson Community Center at 7850 5 Mile Road. But just at 9 o'clock, we will have an officers meeting. So if you'd like to come early, it was a connecting, so I probably didn't need. You're welcome to attend. And this closes out our meeting. Thank you very much.